Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. Good afternoon to everyone. As you may know, the Valley Stream community was hit with a very unreasonable tax, whereby the IDA, the Industrial Development Agency of the town of Hempstead, approved a tax break for Green Acres Mall run by Masons Corporation. As you may have seen on the news, this has caused a lot of anger amongst the residents in Valley Stream. I understand that Legislator Gaylor represents also Valley Stream, and I have provided a copy of my statement to all of my colleagues here today before this statement. And the statement reads in part that the tax rates in this item are based in part on the aggregate assessed value of the taxable property on the tax roll. So this item is directly affected by the decisions to grant tax exemptions, such as the highly questionable decision by the town of Hempstead IDA to grant an exemption to the Green Acres Mall property. I believe the tax rates in this item are tainted by that decision, and that this body should refuse to vote on this item until a further inquiry can be made into by a new town board, IDA, into the property of the Green Acres pilot agreement, and whether the exemption was legal under the IDA law and whether the pilot was properly calculated. Based on information belief, Fred Parola, the executive director of the IDA, had a conversation with the assessor, the county assessor, Mr. Davis, in which he stated, I incorrectly calculated the tax. I forgot to add the school and general tax alone. We all have seen many pilots, but this pilot in particular has had such a devastating effect upon the Valley Stream community that it begs the question, what happened there? Obviously, the supervisor of the town of Hempstead, Mr. Santino, has made a statement saying that at the next town board meeting, he plans to fire them. He would not have fired them if they did not do anything, if they did everything correctly. In addition, I'd like to please note that on September 26th, this body voted whether to approve the assessed value for all property in this county. I abstained from that vote. Despite what some individuals are saying that I voted for that, I abstained from that vote. Therefore, this vote that I will cast today I respectfully ask that this body not call this item, for those reasons that I mentioned. If the exemption is granted, then the tax rate is incorrect here. I asked to move to table this item. I have reached out to my colleague in Valley Stream, Mr. Gaylor. I implore also Mr. Becker, his predecessor, who cares greatly for Valley Stream, to please encourage this body to not call this vote. Again, I apologize for my abrasive nature at times before some of my colleagues here on certain issues, but I'm asking you respectfully. I fear that at a future date, because this body is going to miss the opportunity to undo something that's very wrong, we will have this room packed with Valley Stream residents who are very upset. Mackenzie, again, I apologize, but I'm asking you respectfully. I'm going to get to it, okay? But I have to do this, okay? Mr. Coppell, please. Please. Okay. Please. I just want to finish because this is very important to me. I personally will have to pay over $1,500. So, okay, extra. Okay, so again, I ask you please, respectfully, to not call this vote, and I thank you, Madam Presiding Officer, for this opportunity to speak.
Can I ask, Madam Presiding Officer?
Hold on. Before, I'm going to have to do the, hold on to the motion to table because Legislator Gaylor has a statement to make, okay?
Thank you.
Because I believe he was at a meeting with you today.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. This impact, as Legislator Szilagyi says, affects the Valley Stream community, but that's kind of incorrect because it affects larger than the Valley Stream community, as the school districts that are affected spill over into Limbrook, Malvern, North Valley Stream, South Franklin Square. So it's a larger issue, and I share the concerns that Legislator Szilagyi has. I'm tempered though by the fact that if this piece of legislation doesn't vote today and pass, the effect that it may have on the other school districts. So I guess the question that I have for whomever's here that may be able to answer it, if this were to pass today, can I come back and have it amended as it relates to the school districts in Valley Stream that spill over into the rest of my district as well, but can we come back and amend it to have a carve-out for them or a clawback provision?
Well, the tax levy got actually repassed in December, at the end of December, and that is due because the towns haven't passed their budgets. So once the towns pass their budgets, then we actually recalculate everything, because as long as we know what their revenue requirement is, then we have to fold that into the ordinance. So this tax levy ordinance comes before you again in December.
Well, okay, which means that it can be amended. No, don't pass it.
Yes, it can be amended.
Thank you.
So just so I'm clear, so should the town IDA, existing board or new board, once there's an appointment of a new board, assuming there is, or a court of law were to determine that the pilot program for Green Acres didn't afford the residents due process, or for whatever reason, and they invalidate it, I could come back with an amendment to this tax roll to get the money back? To
No, pass it.
What happens is it changes the rates, right? So if the assessed value goes up, the rates go down. So therefore, our revenue requirement is fulfilled, and the town's revenue requirement is fulfilled. So that's what happens.
But I'm specifically asking, can we carve out something that would adjust the rate for the school districts that are affected here? Or is this a county-wide rate?
These are county-wide, assessed values are redone. I mean, the assessed value is redone for the county rate in December again.
Right, but can I again, I just want to know specifically, can it be amended just for those 3 or 4 school districts that are affected by the Green Acres pilot program?
No, revisiting, it's vote no.
That's the, excuse me, ma'am, that's the question I'm trying to ask.
No. The rates are redone globally when it comes to the end of the year in December.
And to my,
Okay,
Just to clarify, legislator, it's not a question of a carve-out. It would be for the entire county and any school district that is infected, villages and the town of Hempstead. Everyone would be affected by the change you're talking about. So there would be no need for a carve-out, as you put it. Everyone would be affected.
I'm sorry, so can we just clarify? So say in the, I'm sorry, I get ahead of myself, I'm sorry. So just to clarify, if we vote on this today, and between now and December, when it comes back again, the pilot agreement is invalidated, and adjustment is made to the rolls to take that into consideration, that vote in December would take into consideration the changes made by the invalidation of the pilot program.
So I don't really actually know about this pilot agreement, so let me just specify that. So the question is, this pilot agreement, this impacts both county and town revenue?
School.
And school.
And special district.
And special district is
So
Special districts,
the assessed value, no, it's not a special, yes, and special district. So the assessed values is set, and if the pilot was given, the assessed value was diminished at that time. So the rates would have to be adjusted. So I don't know if the assessment department can increase the assessed values that are currently on the roll. I'm not 100% sure about that.
obviously, you don't know too much about this, and I'm asking respectfully that we just table this.
Yes.
Mr. Muscovy, please. And in addition, I ask, can we just please have Mr. Jim Davis please come here? Because, again, the executive director of the IDA mentioned to Mr. Davis that he messed up his calculation. Why should we justify the tax rolls if we know that they're incorrect?
listen, you made a motion to table. I need a second.
I'm proud to second, but I just have some questions which,
Oh,
they're not, well, they're not for Roseanne and they're not for council. They would be for Mr. Davis, and they're regarding the DAF charge. And if I could just get my question on the record so that the next time they're here, like I said before, they're related to the DAF charge, and it appears that the DAF charge is not included in the fall 2016 school tax bills, and I just want to know, I mean, is that correct? Is my understanding correct? Roseanne, I don't know if you can answer this, Roseanne, but I was really going to point them towards Mr. Davis, but he's not here today.
The DAF charge is on the bill, but the DAF charge will be on the January general-wide county bill.
Okay, that answers my next question. Okay. So the next question I will have is anyone assess the DAF chart impact and the revenue the schools will receive in any way?
No.
No one has done that? Is that planned to be done?
The DAF charge will not interfere with what the revenue requirement for the school districts is. They've already given us their revenue requirement, it's already calculated.
But it does affect the rates.
Yes, it does affect the rates.
When you're talking about the income that they make, the income stays the same.
Right.
But if the assessed value of the property, of the Green Acres property then goes up, then the tax rates go down for the school district, the tax rates go down for the town, and the tax rates go down for the county.
That's right.
The county would be a very small portion that they would go down, but it affects everyone.
Right.
The school district rates would affect those within the school district, so they would go down a greater percentage because the school monies is only accumulated from the school district itself.
So Mr. Mastrelli, you've been a lawyer longer than I don't know what that means.
That basically means that we're going to come back here, and if it changes, we will have a second opportunity to change the assessed values, and that will affect the school district rates greatly, which would then change the school taxes for residential properties substantially.
Right. All right. We have a simple question here. Okay, legislator Nicolau.
I don't know if you can answer this, but
Roseanne.
what is the effect if we don't pass this?
Right.
What happens if we don't pass the tax levy?
You don't have a balanced budget. The tax levy basically is it's 27% of the revenue.
We don't have a balanced budget anyway.
That's right. Make the second opportunity the first.
So it has to be passed, this has to be passed today?
Yes.
No, what? No. Says who?
No.
Says who?
Please
Well, let me
vote
ask you
no.
Come on, let's not fall for that. Says who? Who says
What
who?
question do you go with?
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Nicolau, I'm just trying to work
The
with you.
second
Says who?
opportunity the first.
Right.
Okay. And I wish the woman back there stopped shouting.
Where does that come from?
I'm exercising
I
my
can't hear
right.
behind her.
Okay, the question is, where does that come from? Who
I
says
believe it's a charter requirement.
charter? Has to be-
Yeah, the charter requirement also, sorry, the charter requires that we pass a balanced budget. We sit here today, we're not going to do that anyway.
They're saying, hold on. Today's vote is not the end of this act, correct?
So then let's
Coming
table
back
it.
again?
Well, you're coming back again for the tax levies in December, once we get the town requirements for their levies. But the assessed value is final. The roll is final. The tax bills for the schools have already gone out for the first half.
Once the towns figure out the situation, we're going to have to amend this item anyway. So what's the rush? Let's just wait. Let's table this.
The levy requirement for the county has to pass today. It's required by charter. In terms of the assessed value for the roll is final already.
The
That's
roll is
why,
incorrect.
but the roll,
The roll is incorrect. Please bring the assessor here. The roll is incorrect.
And it's not final if it changes again in December. And
well,
then
then they would have to, it's presumed correct. I mean, they would have to basically
And
contest the roll.
presumptions are assumptions.
And our cost.
But then they would be in a tax refund status.
With all due respect, I don't know if your responses are certain, and I just want to err on the side of caution, and I want to ask this item respectfully tabled.
Legislator Salajas, I'm very familiar with this, and it's impacting us everywhere, and I agree with you 100%. This is something that I think, Madam Chair, I'm sorry, at present, from what I read and understand, Legislator Salajas, that currently the assessed and the pilots have all been set and agreed to, is what I understand. Let me just finish, if I may, because I'm fully on board with you on this. It's devastating, and as I said, those Limerick residents are dramatically impacted by this, as my colleague Legislator Gaylor has suggested. It's widespread, and it's a real problem. The only thing is, at this present time, we have to hope that the pilot is put aside, and that has to come to some agreement by an IDA or a new IDA, and that's really in doubt at this particular point. And once again, I don't see how. Maybe there's something that, if, let's say, for example, that the pilot is reevaluated and the assessed valuation goes back up for Green Acres. At that particular point, I'm wondering if then you can have a tax certiorari case against the county, unfortunately. But right now, it's in place unless somehow the current chairman, Fred Parola, can get the Green Acres to go back on the pilot, but that's only an if right now.
I do not want to entertain any questions as to whether or not we have jurisdiction upon the IDA. Obviously, we do not. I'm only focusing upon our jurisdiction and our powers. Right now, as a body, we have the power to approve or disapprove this tax roll. I'm asking my colleagues to please not approve this tax roll. Thank you. Bipartisan. Thank you, everybody. I have much respect for our veterans. Thank you. Sorry if I command the room.
On a motion to table. You all know that, okay? So now, all those in favor of tabling item, I believe, 11, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. No. So I think, I'm sorry.
A motion to reconsider respectfully. Mr. Dunn, I do look towards with you, children in need, please. Mr. Dunn, I ask you respectfully, please do not vote on this item.
I know how near and dear this is to you.
Presiding officer, I will smile at you every day, please.
We're going call. Public comment.
And now we're going to move on to the item.
Say one thing. Just says, Randy, you're doing a great job since you're doing this, and we appreciate all your service, but this room should be filled with people from the administration. And that's not a touch of you, but it's our budget. I mean, the room should be, the assessors should be available. I mean, it's, again, Randy, don't take this personally, because I think you've done an outstanding job.
Please.
So don't take it personally, okay?
Yeah,
No, I understand completely. No.
the assessed values are set. The tax bills for the schools have gone out. This, assessed value can't be changed.
Due to the amendments that we passed. So I don't know, I asked for a motion to amend the item for the nature of the substitution, and I don't know if we did have it, I have no idea. All right, so I'm asking, so say, I don't know, Frank, did you? Okay, so now I'm making, asking for an amendment to the nature of the substitution that would include all of the amendments that we offered today. So, Legislator Dunn, motion? Moved by Legislator Kennedy, okay. Oh, Jesus, Mary. I pray every time I hear Jesus, Mary, and okay, where are
No, forget about it. I have one on
Okay. A motion has been made to offer an amendment in the nature of a substitution, and moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Kennedy. Okay. I think I put them in.
Okay, all those in favor of the amendment to the nature of the getting out.
Oh, God, I'm gonna have this automatic, okay? Goes on, goes off, goes on. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment to the nature of the substitution signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
No.
Okay, what do we got? What do you got?
No.
Okay, 4 noes, okay, 4 noes and 10 ayes, okay. By the way, did you, do I have 10 votes here? Or do I, hold on.
That Capel's gone.
All right. Okay,
Is it a no for you? On the amendment, okay. Okay, but the item, no, okay. All right, now, we have some questions that we're asking. The item passes that doesn't pass the amendments in the nature of substitution, pass 10 to, I can't, 11 to 4. Okay, now, well, hold on. We have 10, and with him it's 11, but wait till we get to the item, okay? Now, we have some questions that we need to ask, and I believe Legislator Muscarello is going to ask the first one, and I'm going to ask the second one.
Okay. You have heard the concerns of Legislator Solage and Legislator Gaylor with respect to an IDA grant on the Green Acres Shopping Center, which provided a pilot or an exemption to Green Acres Shopping Center. On this item, what effect does this item have on the exemption, or what effect would the exemption have on our passing this item with respect to school tax bills which are out?
There would be no effect. The bills are, as you said, out. The levies have been sent. Everything has gone out, so there would be no effect.
If in fact the IDA or the town sues the IDA and the IDA rescinds the exemption, and sometime in the future those properties are found to have been incorrectly assessed, how would there be any remedy to the taxpayers of the county, and more specifically within the school district, if it turns out that the IDA was wrong?
Well, if it is deemed to be invalid, the property would go back onto the tax roll, and the taxpayers would be seeing relief the following year when the property is ultimately restored to the roll again. But that would also include amounts for 2017. So in 2018 it would be relief, but it would also include amounts for 2017.
Am I correct to state that it wouldn't be in the the nature of a tax surcharge. It wouldn't be a restoration in the nature of the county paying back all of the incorrectly paid monies. In effect, well, let me say it this way. The school district will get their full amount regardless of who it's from. The town gets their full amount, the county gets the full amount. If it turns out that the proportions were incorrect in the future, am I right to say that in the future tax bills, the residents would see a relief for the credit that they overpaid, and Green Acres Shopping Mall would pay an additional amount for the monies that they didn't pay but should have paid?
They would be part of the tax base again at that point, and there would be relief through the mechanism of omitted property, and there would be benefits for the taxpayers in 2018 for 2017 and 2018.
So if we pass this today, or if we don't pass it today, it has no effect basically on the school tax bill that's been paid by the residents of the Valley Stream school districts.
That's correct.
Okay, I don't have any questions right now.
May I? Presiding Officer.
I have 2 or 3 more questions, and then Legislator Salajas, what is the effect of not passing this levy today?
Well, it doesn't have any effect on the schools. It's already been mentioned, the bills and the warrants have already gone out. But there is a charter requirement that requires the budget and the tax levy to be passed by the 30th of October, today being the day after Sunday. So it does need to be passed today. If it's not, then we go into we would not have a tax levy for 2017, and we would find ourselves in an exigency situation where the levy would be effectively, the levy for 2016 would be reissued. However, that is something that can be corrected going forward.
Okay. Can it be delayed at this point?
No, it should not be delayed. The law requires it.
Okay, now, I want to make you happy. No, I do. Okay, Legislator Salajas.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer, and thank you to Legislator Mascarella for those questions. So by passing this, in essence, today, residents of Malvern, Oceanside, Valley Stream, Franklin Square, for 2017 and 2018, would have to pay anywhere between $750, $1,000, or $1,500 extra. Is that correct?
It has absolutely no effect on any of the school taxes at this point. And as far as 2018 is concerned, that's just speculation at this point. We don't know how anything is going to be playing out.
But again, so even if we have the assessor here and he confirmed the statements that I made before, in which we know of an error by which possibly the supervisor of the town of Hempstead is choosing to eliminate that board. If there is an error, in essence, today we are pretty much justifying that error or voting for this even knowing that there is an error.
I wouldn't say we're justifying it. It's more of a situation where it's separate and apart from what's going on in the school districts. As much as we would like to help the taxpayers in the school districts affected, no vote today by this legislature will have any effect.
But again, we're not, the intent of this motion is not, again, based on the intended effect. The effect of this is more so to make sure that we are voting on true and accurate information. And, you know, I'm hearing different advice here, different statements being made here. I have no way of knowing if, you know, these tax rolls are correct. So, you know, again, just about, I was at, and so I was Legislator Gaylor, we were at many meetings before in which even members of the IDA showed expressions on their face or said statements that indicate they didn't really know how this deal got done. a major national corporation, Macerich Corporation, in essence, getting a tax grievance, $2 million off of the value of their property. So what the town ID, in essence, did here was they provided a tax grievance to them all. You know, again, I truly believe, and that's why I abstained from the vote on September 26th, I truly believe that, again, the assessed values that we're looking at and this tax roll are not correct. And if we have diligent investigators, we should not vote for this. I respect and I appreciate the time and consideration that the majority gave upon this issue. It shows that you are taking it seriously. I stand, and now I know why Legislator Ford stood against that IDA development in Long Beach. And going forward, I'm questioning all IDA programs even further. And I know I'm putting myself on the spot by saying that, but again, this IDA program was incorrectly done, which is why the supervisor of the town of Hempstead has taken some steps, but not all of the necessary steps. And in essence, by us passing this tax rule, and by us saying that there is no issue with this mall being classified as a home. Have you seen how big that mall is? It's on the tax roll now at the same level as a home. Wow. By voting, my colleagues in government, please, by voting for this, you're saying that you see nothing wrong with that. And I see everything wrong with that.
Yes.
So I encourage you, I implore you respectfully to please do the right thing. It's never too late to do the right thing. I don't care what you say that the tax bills have been printed. So what? We'll spend more money. We'll spend more money on paper. We do that all the time here. So what? It is never too late to do the right thing. Please, all I'm asking is that we err on the side of caution. The assessor of this county, Mr. Davis, maybe because he's not elected, he doesn't feel the need to show up. But please, we're begging for the assessor here to just ask him a question. And if I ask him that question, and he gives me a fair answer, then I'll go along with voting for this. But I cannot vote for this knowing that there are significant and material issues of fact within this pilot program. Thank you. I move to table the amended item until we get a written county attorney opinion. I need a written opinion. And as fellow attorneys, please, I know you can understand and appreciate that, a written opinion. Because I hear you saying one thing, you say another thing, I see you get in a fight with Fran Becker. I don't know what's going on here.
I'm going to second that motion.
Thank you.
You already voted to table, okay, there's a motion to table the item as amended. And I have to use that term because we didn't use it before. And all those in favor of amending, tabling the ordinance as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Sure we can. You want a roll call? Go right ahead. You keep Mr.
Because I want the residents of Malvern, Lynbrook, Oceanside, Valley Stream, and Franklin Square to know who voted against doing the right thing. Roll call vote, please.
Presiding officer said okay. Goes through the chair.
We're going to pack this room.
Yes.
The same way I did with the casino, we're going to pack this room.
He asked for a roll call on the tabling of this item, which failed. Let's go.
Okay. Deputy Presiding Officer Richard Nicolello.
No.
Alternate Deputy Presiding Officer Howard Coppell.
It's his district, he's out here.
Okay. Legislator Sheila Bino.
Yes.
Legislator Carrie Solange.
Yes.
Legislator Denise Ford.
No.
Legislator Laura Curran.
Yes.
Legislator C. William Gaylord III.
Yes.
Legislator Vincent Muscarella.
No.
Legislator Ellen Birnbaum, she's absent. Legislator Delia DeRiggi Whitten.
Yes.
Legislator James Kennedy.
No.
Legislator Laura Schaefer.
No.
Legislator Dennis Dunn Sr.
No.
Legislator Rosemarie Walker.
No.
Legislator Donald McKenzie.
No.
Legislator Stephen Rhodes.
No.
Minority Leader Kavan Abrams. Absent. Presiding Officer Norman Gonzalez.
No. Okay.
We have a quorum now.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'm sorry. A motion.
The motion to table has been defeated by 10 to 4, 5. 10 to 5. All right. Now for the item as amended, which is item, item 11, the tax levy ordinance or ordinance 178. All those in favor of the item as amended signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Okay, the item passes.
Please, presiding officer, I understand that this will not be formally on the record if we don't do a roll call vote of the final vote. So please, if we do a roll call vote.
It's on the record. It's on the record. Don't worry.
Can we do a roll call on this?
If it makes you happy?
Yes, please, thank you.
All right, it makes Mr. Paulson happy because at least he can do his job.
want it now.
Do roll call.
Okay. Deputy Presiding Officer Richard Nicolello. Alternate Deputy Presiding Officer.
Come on, Rich, yes, Rich, yes. He said no. He said no.
On the record.
Let's start again. Deputy Presiding Officer Richard Nicolello.
Yes.
Mr. Coppell is absent. Legislator Sheila Bino.
No.
Legislator Carrie Solage.
No.
Legislator Denise Ford.
Yes.
Legislator Laura Curran.
No.
Legislator C. William Gaylord III.
No.
Legislator Vincent Muscarella.
Yes.
Legislator Ellen Birnbaum is absent. Legislator Delia DeRicci Witten.
No.
Legislator James Kennedy.
Yes.
Legislator Laura Schaefer.
Yes.
Legislator Dennis Dunn Sr.
Yes.
Legislator Rosemarie Walker.
Yes.
Legislator Donald McKenzie.
Yes.
Legislator Stephen Rhodes.
Yes.
Minority Leader Kavan Abrams is absent. Presiding Officer Norman Gonzalez.
Yes. Okay, the item passes, I believe, 10 to 5. Correct? Yes. I'm sorry, we have one more item, which is item 14, Resolution 179, which is, hold on.